Welcome back to the Viridian League for its 10th event, the Team Pursuit, which has been submitted by our championship leaders, the Rainbirds. It's going to be about speed and team synergy on this one. You want to get down to the finish line as fast as possible. It's going to be the third marble that sets your time, but through feedback from the stewards, that last marble can't be lagging behind too far, because all 4 marbles of your team must pass the yellow checkpoint at least for your time to be able to be set. Now with the first heat with the Rainbirds and the Sterling Skies. Our submitters are starting off this event against a team very low in the standings. How will they perform? Let's see. It's looking like the Rainbirds have a slight lead, but it's very close to call between the 3 marbles. Now the Rainbirds are further ahead, but you can see there's a big gap between that 4th marble. If it stays like that, that's gonna come into play. Rainbirds hold the lead in both cases, but it's gonna be close. Let's see here. Yeah, the Rainbirds will move on to the quarterfinals. But that was not as comfortable as they would have wanted. You can see it was a very tight battle between the first 3 marbles, but because for both teams that last marble was lagging behind so far, that decided the match and who moved on. Not ideal for them. Now with the second heat with the Autumn and the Evergreen Oaks. Let's see who has the lead. It's a bit of a messy start for the Evergreen Oaks. Meanwhile, the Autumn are very bunched and have the lead right now, it seems. Doing very well to stay together, do not make the same mistakes as we saw both teams in the last heat. They still have the lead, but the Evergreen Oaks have caught up and they actually take the lead here. Let's see how well it goes on. It's looking like the Evergreen Oaks will hold on to it, and they will. Evergreen Oaks were behind early on in that match, but they managed to make a comeback and move on. Meanwhile, that was not a great time for the Autumn Ashes, 23-43. Something must have gone wrong there in the middle of that run, which means the Evergreen Oaks will move on to the quarterfinals. Now with the third heat with the Eventide Aurors and the Dune Dashers. And off they go. Let's see, very strong start for both these teams, giving it very bunched. Slight lead for the Eventide Aurors, but not a very big one. Let's see if they can hold on to it. They do it so far. The Dune Dashers are doing very solid as well. Both teams keeping that 4th marble and 3rd marble together to make sure they don't get a situation as we saw in the first heat. It's looking like the Eventide Aurors will hold on to the lead they had in this heat with a 23-15, a very strong time, beating out the very solid time of 23-22 of the Dune Dashers, who were very unfortunate to miss out here. Eventide Aurors will go on to the quarterfinals, but who will face them? The Cosmoscopes or the Histruans in this 4th heat? Off they go, let's see. Decent start, not as good as the last heat. The Cosmoscopes hold the lead, but have a bit of a gap to their 4th marble. Histruans keep it together well, but there's a bit of a gap starting between their first 2 and second 2. Meanwhile, Cosmoscopes have largely closed that gap that had formed, and now they're just fairly far ahead of the Histruans, and it's looking like they'll keep it that out going into the final stretch, and they will. Cosmoscopes will be the one to face the Eventide Aurors. Histruans will go no further in this event. They just could not match the speed of the Cosmoscopes here. Unfortunate for them. Now, we have the 5th heat with the Apple Tarts and the Quartz Roses. And they're off. Let's see how will they take the starting section. Not great for both teams. A big gap between the first 2 and last 2 of the Quartz Roses. They have seemed to fill it now a bit. Apple Tarts are a bit better. They hold the lead now, but the 4th marble is scarily behind. They'll hope that it can catch up to not maybe lose them advancement. We'll have to see. The first 3 are doing very well. Let's see. In that last marble for the Apple Tarts managed to make it a close call, but the Apple Tarts will still move on. You can see here it's very close whether or not the time was set through the 3rd or the 4th marble, but either way it was faster than Quartz Rose's time. Now with the 6th heat with the Supersonics and Team Brimstone. Off they go. Let's see. Very solid start for both these teams. It's looking like I think Team Brimstone has a slight lead, but it's hard to say. That was almost dead on. Let's see how it goes here. Now it's gonna go to the Supersonics. This is a very close match. Both teams keeping it very good bunched. They're making sure to have a bit of space, but not too much to come back. It's looking like the Supersonics have a bit of a lead, but the Team Brimstone brought it all the way back in that last section. They were looking behind for quite a bit in the last part, but they managed to bring it like all the way to just a 2-frame difference. But that 2 frames is still a difference and will not be enough for them to move on. Now with the 7th heat, the John Jolts and the Winter Winds. And off they go, let's see. Better start for the John Jolts, but the Wintermints are actually have the lead here. and the 4 marble that was lagging behind a bit have managed to catch up all the way back. Now it's a very close call. There's still a slight lead for the Winterwinds, but the John Jolts are right on their tail. Let's see how it compares here. Winterwinds still have lead, but anything can change in this final section. What will happen? Let's see. And it's going to be an incredibly close finish with just a single frame difference. But it will still go to the Winterwinds. You can see here the difference there in the third marble is almost impossible to tell, but you can do it. The Winterwinds just barely win this heat ahead of the John Jolts, who will not move on. Now with the Nightshades and the White Whirlwinds. And off they go. Let's see. Not a great start for both these teams. There's incredibly big gaps between the third and fourth marble. It's looking like it will come down to that. Let's see. The White Whirlwinds have the lead with the first 3 marbles, and the fourth marble was not far behind. It's actually caught up to the first 3 marbles. Meanwhile, the Nightshade's first 3 marbles have taken the lead, but that fourth one is lagging behind so far. It's not going to matter. Yeah, the Nightshades have the first 3 marbles finished, but that last one is so far behind. All 4 of the White Whirlwinds have finished by that point. The Nightshades will only settle for a 13th place finish here. Even though they had their first 3 marbles across first, the White Whirlwinds will go to the quarterfinals. Speaking of which, with the first one here with the Rainbirds and the Evergreen Oaks. A very solid start for both these teams. Let's see who has the lead. It's going to be the Evergreen Oaks, but it's not a very solid lead so now. Both teams doing very well to keep the wall spaced. Let's see. Still the Evergreen Oaks, but the Rainbirds are catching up a bit. Let's see how it's looking here. You can see here that was almost dead on. And it is right there. It's still going to be Evergreen Oaks. We'll move on in the end. Let's see. And that was an incredibly tight finish between the first 3 for both teams. But the last of the Rainbirds was just lagging behind too far. I don't know where that separation came from. But that's going to cost them the game. It was almost a photo finish between the first 3 marbles. But the Rainbirds' last marble was just lagging behind too far. Now, the second quarterfinal. The previously mentioned Eventide Aurors and Cosmoscopes. They're off. Not a great start for both these teams. With pretty solid gaps. The Cosmoscope managed to close it a bit, but Eventide Aurors don't. Eventide Aurors still have a lead, but it's not a big one. Let's see how it see here. Still going to be the Eventide Aurors, but Cosmoscopes are a far better bunch. And that gap, Eventide Aurors close up, but it's actually going to be the Cosmoscopes that managed to take a very solid lead just in the last section. We'll have to see what happened there. You can see just a very solid difference ahead of the Eventide Aurors, even though they were behind for most of that race. Incredible comeback for the Cosmoscopes there. Now the third quarterfinals, the Apple Tarts and the Supersonics. And they're off. Very solid start for both these teams. Let's see here. It's looking very strong. Supersonics have a slight lead, but the Apple Tarts are doing their best as well. It's a bit bigger now. Let's see. Keeping it very well spaced, both these teams. Supersonics hold on to the lead, and they're just going to be stretching it, it seems. It seems like they will hold on to it, and they will. The last marble was a bit of a scare behind there, but it did not matter. They will move on, and it did not ultimately affect their time. Apple Tarts, unfortunate for them. That third marble could not beat the Supersonics third. They will not move on. Now, with this last quarterfinal, the Winterwinds and the White Whirlwinds. And they're off. Let's see. Pretty similar starts. It's going to be the White Whirlwinds that have a lead, but a pretty big gap to the last marble. Meanwhile, the Winterwinds also had a gap like that, but have immediately closed it right up. White Whirlwinds still have a lead with the third marble, and now the fourth marble has managed to catch up right as well. Let's see. White Whirlwinds still hold the lead, but it's very close. Let's see what will it come down to. And it is going to be the White Whirlwinds. Winterwinds actually have the exact same time as the Apple Tarts had in the last heat. And you can see here, White Whirlwinds just had the lead all throughout. Even though they had a bit of a scare with the last marble, they managed to bunch it back up and win the heat very solidly. Now with the first semifinal, Evergreen Oaks and the Cosmoscopes. Both these teams would like a medal. Let's see who will guarantee one here. It's going to be very close, not very bunched for both these teams. It's going to be, I think the Cosmoscopes have a slight lead, but it's hard to say. Now it's going to be actually the Evergreen Oaks that have the lead. This has been a very back and forth match. It's going to be the Evergreen Oaks that move on here. Cosmoscopes will not do so. As they settle for the Constellation final. A very big gap between the first 2 and last 2 of the Cosmoscopes. You can see that was their downfall. Evergreen Oaks, although not perfectly spaced, were far better in that aspect. And that's going to guarantee them a top 2 finish in this event. Now we have the Supersonics and the White Ones in the last semi-final. And then they're off. Let's see. It's a very close match. I think White Ones have a slight lead, but now it's going to be the Supersonics. They are keeping it fairly bunched, all of these teams, especially the Supersonics, who have a better lead now. They're very bunched through those last 3 marbles, managing to take momentum from each other. It's very close here. Let's see who will move on, and it will be the Supersonics, but it was a far closer finish than previously assumed. Only 2 frame difference. The White Women's a big gap there, but they did well to catch up. If they had avoided that big gap that they created there, they could have taken that advantage result from the Supersonics. Now the Cobscopes and the White Women's are off in the consolation final, fighting for that bronze medal. A very solid start for both these teams. It's going to be the White Women's that have a slight lead here. Let's see, Cobscope very well, good formation there. White Women's still hold the lead though. It's going to be a tight one. Let's see who will hold the lead here. It's going to be the Cobscopes now. They have managed to overtake for the lead here. And it's looking like they'll hold on. Will they? Yes, they will. Just by 3 frames, they managed to secure themselves a bronze medal. Very well done there to get a comeback going later on in the course, securing themselves a medal in this event. White Women's unfortunately missed out once again. Now, with the final, the Evergreen Oaks versus Supersonics. Who will get the gold in this event? And they're off. Let's see. It's looking like the Evergreen Oaks have a slight lead, but it's fairly dead on. Anything can still change in the latter part of this course. You can see here still a slight nudge for the Evergreen Oaks, who have a very strong formation going. Supersonics aren't bad either, but now the gap has widened. Will the Evergreen Oaks hold on to it into this final section of the course? And they will! With a 23:14, the fastest time of the day, the Evergreen Oaks have secured their gold medal in this event. Very well done. The Supersonics will have to settle for the silver here. A pretty good run in this event for them as well. You can see here. It is the Evergreen Oaks taking the gold medal ahead of the Supersonics and the Cosmoscopes, the latter 2 of which also got the exact same medals in the last event. So a very good stretch of events for them. Evergreen Oaks jumped up 6 into the top half with that gold medal. Meanwhile, the Supersonics have jumped into second with their silver, just 1 point behind the Rainbirds, who do still hold on to the lead in their submitted event. Now, the next event will be the high jump. See you then.